Hey, everybody, welcome back. Let's say hello to our friend, Mr. John Baptiste. Hello, John.
Hello. We in it right now. Historic
We
times. How you
are
doing?
unbelievable. Did you see the speeches tonight?
Yeah. I saw some clips and I recorded it, and I really love a lot of stuff that happened. Kamala, historic. My
Beautiful.
president saying the right kind of things that a president should say on the podium.
That's
It was
right.
it was
Incredibly
also a
inspiring.
blistering thing. He took down. He said a lot of stuff that he doesn't always go. He don't always go there. He went
No, I
there.
think this might be one of the most important and impactful speeches he'll ever give. I hope
Mm-hmm.
people listen and take action. And you know what else inspired me? I've seen the performance that you're doing tonight with Nathaniel Rateliff. I can't wait for it.
My boy, I love Nathaniel. Yeah, we had a good time when we could be together and play music. So hopefully
Oh,
people
yeah.
feel this offering of music.
This is a throwback to a happier time. So stick around for that, everybody. John, I got to go talk to my first guest. Good to see you. I'll see you later.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, my
Much
friend.
love.
Folks, my first guest tonight is the independent senator from Vermont and former presidential candidate who has dedicated his political career to advancing the progressive cause. Please welcome to A Late Show, Senator Bernie Sanders. Senator, good to see you again.
Good to be with you, Stephen.
This is an exciting night. How are you liking the convention this week?
I am liking this convention. I am thinking that we're going to beat Donald Trump. We're going to beat him bad. And between you and me, this is exactly what we have got to do. This country cannot have 4 more years of Donald Trump. And I think we got a good ticket to defeat him.
Now, it's been 4 months approximately since you ended your campaign. Last night, I talked to Senator Warren and asked her what she missed about the campaign trail. Is there anything you don't miss about the campaign trail?
Well, doing 3 or 4 rallies a day gets a little bit hard. But what I do miss is seeing so many extraordinary people. We had dozens and dozens of town meetings where just working people came forward and they talked about the pain in their lives. And I've always considered it an enormous source of pride that people would be willing to come up in front of TV cameras, in front of strangers, and talk about what living on poverty wages means, or not having any health care, or not being able to afford prescription drugs. But I miss that connection with ordinary people who are willing, with great courage, to talk about the pain in their lives.
I think that's one of the things that people responded to you about, and Joe Biden, is that a willingness to honestly receive the pain in people's lives and honestly talk about what is necessary to make this a better country, to try to alleviate the suffering that's going on in people's lives, the worry and the anxiety. You spoke to Joe Biden's credentials last night. And there are a lot of things I want to ask you, but the question that's on everyone's mind right now is, how long did it take you to chop all that wood behind you?
Well, that was quite a task, let me tell you. Bottom line here is, in Vermont, we are smart. We know that winter is coming, and here it gets 10, 20 below zero. So we start early. We're prepared.
Now, in April, you said you wanted Joe Biden to get bold on progressive ideas last time we spoke. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, he did not commit to a Green New Deal. He wants to add a public option on health care, but won't outright adopt a Medicare for all. How bold did he get in your eyes?
Well, Stephen, what we did, and I really appreciate the vice president for doing this, we sat down and we chatted and we said, all right, look, we have disagreements. We did have disagreements. We have disagreements today. The best path forward would be to us to have at least 6 task forces dealing with the economy and healthcare and education and climate change, immigration, criminal justice reform. We would bring forth our best people. He would bring forth his best people. And they try to work out some compromises, some proposals, which would make sense to both parties. And that's what we did. So I'm not here to tell you that Joe Biden's views are my views. They're not. On health care, we disagree. We disagree on a number of other issues. But what I will say is, if the resolutions adopted in the task forces are in fact implemented, it would make Biden the most progressive president since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So no, he didn't go as far as I would like. Medicare for all is one example. I happen to believe that this current system is cruel, it's dysfunctional, it's incredibly wasteful, and we've got to do what every other major country on earth does, get private health insurance out of the system and guarantee health care to all as a human right. Joe has a different approach, but he also wants to work toward universal health care. He also has some very serious proposals to deal with the outrageous greed of the pharmaceutical industry, which is, in some cases, Stephen, is charging us 10 times more for the same exact drugs, insulin among others, than they're charging Canadians and other people. So he's going to move aggressively on prescription drugs. He believes in universal health care. He wants to have clean electricity in 15 years, going to invest very, very heavily in wind, solar, and other sustainable energies. He has a pretty strong criminal justice reform, wants to end private prisons and detention centers, end cash bail. And I think most importantly on the economy, he's coming from a pretty good place. He wants to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. That will be a pay raise for 40 million Americans. He wants to make it easier for workers to join unions, equal pay for equal work. He wants to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure and create millions of good paying jobs there, as well as in climate change. So, you know, it's a different agenda than mine, no question about it. But it is a strong progressive agenda. And if we elect Democrats, if Democrats control the Senate and the House, we're going to implement that agenda, maybe even more.
You say the most progressive agenda since FDR. I mean, there have been many Democratic and progressive presidents since then. Is it because FDR was able to take action in a time of crisis? Do you see parallels between the sort of the dissolution of an old order that we're going through right now that allows for that chaos that leads to a new creation?
Stephen, I think that's exactly right.
Thank you.
You know, I've talked to Joe a number of times since I left the campaign. He understands that we are in the midst of an unprecedented crisis. And I think, Stephen, between you and me, we don't pay enough attention to the realities of America today. We talk a lot about the pandemic and 170,000 people dying. That's enormously important. We may be not focusing enough on the fact that as we speak, there are millions of people who literally do not have food in the cupboard to feed their kids. They lost their jobs, they have no income coming in. These are people who are worried about getting evicted from their homes. We're talking about millions of people who are facing evictions from their apartments, their homes.
Do you think there's going to be action on that in the Senate? I know the Democrats have passed their bill in the House. Do you think the Senate's going to take any action on renewing the CARES Act?
I am so disgusted. I mean, this goes really beyond politics. You know, everybody knew, you know, that the provisions that we put in the CARES bill, the last bill, were going to expire. No great secret. People were going to run out of getting that $600 supplement on their unemployment. The $1,200 check that people receive, that money ran out. People have no health care. Cities and towns are facing very terrible economic challenges. Everybody knew it was happening. Mitch McConnell did absolutely nothing. And right now, what Trump did, as you recall last week, came up with these phony proposals that I don't even know if they can, his executive orders, I don't even know if they are implementable. Instead of $600 a week for unemployed workers, at best, he wants $300. Some states may not go forward even doing that. I don't even know if he can implement that. There's no $1,200 check. I think it should be more. No money for health care, no money for states, no money for cities. In other words, the Republicans literally, and I don't mean to be overly partisan, but they have literally turned their backs on the pain and the suffering that tens of millions of people are experiencing right now. And I ask McConnell again, call back the Senate, let us act.
Does that, besides the sort of the moral bankruptcy of turning your back on the American people, does it strike you as just politically dumb? That the only reason why the economy was chugging along at all was that the average people had some money to spend. They could pay their rent.
Right. That's right. Stephen, here's the problem that Mitch McConnell has. There are 53 Republicans in the Senate, and probably half of them don't want to vote for anything. They will not vote another nickel for the American people. I mean, they have their ideology. They're prepared to give tax breaks to billionaires. They're prepared to spend $740 billion on the military. But they do not want, half of them, not all of them, half of them do not want to spend another nickel. So McConnell's problem is that if he brings a bill to the floor of the Senate, the Democrats will be in charge because all of us will vote for that $600 a week. All of us will vote for at least, I want more, $1,200 check for every American during this crisis, for health care, for cities and towns. And he will be in the minority. And that is a very difficult political position for the majority leader to be in.
Well, I hope he has to get used to that minority position very soon. We have to take a quick break, but don't go away, anybody. We'll be right back with more Senator Bernie Sanders. Thank you, sir.